Good morning, everybody. So in today's video, I figured I got a whole bunch of carrots on sale. I'm going to show you in a clip here. And today I figured I'd show you the process of pressure canning carrots. So that's what we're doing in today's video. So I managed to find these 5-pound bags of carrots on sale for $2.97. That is pretty cheap where I'm from. So I bought 5 bags. Where I currently live, it's not as easy to grow anything where I live. The space isn't big enough for that. So when I seen these on sale, I thought this was a perfect opportunity to stock up on them and be able to can some of the carrots for some of the meals that I like to use canned carrots for. So here I'm just taking them out of the bags and giving them a good wash before we start to do the peeling process. I'm just washing them with lukewarm water and scrubbing the edges here and making sure that there's no dirt or chemicals or anything like that on them. This was just a quick look at what they looked like after they were all washed. It looked like a big, beautiful bouquet of carrots, and I thought that was cute. After they were washed, I moved on to the process of peeling them all. So that took me a while. I do peel some of them on camera here for you, but I did peel most of them off camera. It did take me a bit. The peeling process was faster than the dicing them up process, so... So you just want to make sure that you peel the skins off before you can them. The skins don't taste very good canned, and you want the product to be ready to use. So all you have to do is open the jar and dump it out and use the product. You don't want to have to do any prep work after the canning process. Once I was done peeling all the carrots, I sliced off the ends and I started to dice them into probably about 1-inch pieces. You don't want them to be too small, otherwise they will mush during the canning process, but you also don't want them to be too big. I would say a nice bite size, but not overly big and not overly small. So about around 1 inch is what I find is the perfect texture. When they come out of the canning, I find they're cooked perfectly. So I tend to use them when I'm cooking, say, let's say soup, for example. I'll make sure everything in the soup is already cooked, and then I will add the carrots at the last 10 minutes or so, just so that the carrots don't get overcooked as well in the soup. So that is how I recommend using the carrots, is to put them in the end of your cooking process. The big bowl of carrot peels that I have here set aside, I do keep those. I usually put them in a big bag and I put them in my freezer. And then when I make chicken stock, I usually stick scraps in with my chicken stock. I usually stick carrot peels and ends from vegetables and onion peels and stuff like that into my chicken stock to add more flavor. So I do keep those. So this is all the carrots all diced up. It took me probably about 1.5 hours with help, but it is worth the process, so I do recommend it. Okay, so we're going to start packing some of these carrots into jars. So I have some jars here that are already cleaned and washed and sterilized. When you're canning, you want to use kosher salt. Do not use iodized salt. It'll change the look of your food in the jar after it's canned. So you want to take between 1/4 teaspoon to a teaspoon of salt and put it in the bottom of each jar. This is for flavor. It's preference. You don't have to. So I'm going to use about 1/4 teaspoon. So these are the carrots that I diced up yesterday. Okay, so I prefer the raw pack method. You can also do a hot pack method where you pre-boil the carrots. I prefer the carrots to be raw packed because after they go through the pressure canning process, they're cooked perfectly. Whereas if you pre-boil them, I find them the texture is a bit mushy for my taste, and I don't prefer that. So I'm going to show you the raw pack method today. So it's very simple. So we're going to pack the carrots in that we diced. I diced these about an inch in size, and I tried to get them fairly even. I find they cook pretty evenly when you do them that size, and they're perfect. So I like to use these kind of carrots for soup, for cottage pie, stuff like that. They work perfectly for that. I usually add them in the end of the meal. Like when I'm just done cooking everything else, I'll add the jar of carrots in after, and they're perfect. The texture of them I find is perfect. I'm not a huge fan of frozen carrots, so I find this is my favorite way of preserving them. I find frozen carrots have like a rubbery texture to them that I don't like. Okay, so you want to fill it to right about here. But you want to try and pack them in fairly tight. Okay. So we're going to continue this. I need 7 to fit into my electric pressure canner here. I can usually fit about 7 in per load. I'm hoping to get 30 jars out of this. We'll see. That's a guess. Last year I canned about 15 jars of these and it was nowhere near enough. So I knew when they came on sale that I was going to can them. Since I don't really have the space to grow my own, I have to look for sales. I'm leaving enough room for the liquid. Okay. It's barely even making a dent. I think I'm going to get a lot this year. This is good. It did take me quite a bit off camera to peel these carrots and to dice them. I did have some help, so. And you can position the carrots the way you want with your fingers to fill in some of the gaps. Just make sure you keep it under the lip here. So we're going to do 7 of these, and then I'm going to show you how I prepare my canner for the jars and to heat up. I find this method is also faster than the hot pack method because you're pre-boiling and you're boiling everything separately, and it's a whole other step. And I find the texture this way is nicer. There is a little bit of a step with the liquid that I'm going to show you once we're ready here. This one I learned the hard way. The first time I canned carrots, I put cold water in, and I couldn't understand why after I had canned them, half the water siphoned out of the jar. And after a bunch of research, I realized I was supposed to put hot water in. Hot water prevents it from siphoning a lot of the water out during the canning process. The food is still safe if the water siphons out, it just won't preserve as long. Just positioning some so there's hopefully not as many gaps. You can fit more carrots in there. That is the other thing. If you do a hot pack method, you usually can fit more carrots into the jar. So it is a preference and what you prefer. I prefer them to be in pint jars instead of quarts, just because this is the perfect size for the meals that I make. That is completely up to you on the size that you can them in. I wouldn't do them smaller than a pint, like a half pint I think is a little too small, but I find to add to soup or to cottage pie or something like that, this size is perfect. I used to can them in quarts and the big jars, and it was too much. I think this is going to make more than I expect. I hope I took out enough jars, cleaned enough of my jars. I found over 40, so hopefully that's more than enough. Okay, so let me go get some hot water and I will show you the next step. Okay, so for the next step, you want to take some really hot boiling water and we're going to fill the jars with water. Okay, so this is why we keep it down below the lip here. So we're going to fill it. Make sure it's hot water. And do this right before you're going to put them in the canner. So you want to leave an inch of headspace, which is right around the lip here, just for the jar to expand. Now I'm taking a toothpick, or a chopstick, a wooden chopstick, and I'm going down the edge of the jar to get all the bubbles out that are caught in between the carrots. Called debubbling. So you want to do this because air pockets will make your food not preserve as long. So you want to get all the air out. Okay, and then I'm going to take a wet cloth, pour a little bit of vinegar on it. We're going to wipe around the rim. Move this out of the way so you can see. We're cleaning the edge to make sure that it's nice and clean. You get a really nice seal. Take a canning lid, put it right onto the jar, and then hand tight, like that. And that is done and ready to go in the canner. So now we just need to finish the rest of them. We're going to do the same thing. Going along, getting all those bubbles out. You can see them escaping. And then if you have to add a little bit more water at the end, that's fine. Wipe the edge. Make sure there's no nicks, no cracks in your jar. Put the lid on. Hand tight. And then you just keep repeating the process. As you see the bubbles come out, your water level will go down, so you are going to need to refill it before you put the lid on. Give the jar a little shake, make sure there's no more bubbles. Make sure there's enough water. Wipe the edge. Hand tight. This one had a lot of air bubbles. Okay, add a little bit more water. Okay, I'm gonna go get some more hot water and finish the last 3, and I'll show you what they look like when I'm done. Okay, so here's the 7 jars to start with. No bubbles, they look really good, filled with hot water. Okay, let's prepare the canner. Okay, so my canner has a pressure can setting and a water bath setting, so we need pressure can. And I'm going to can these for 30 minutes. That's just according to my altitude. So, and I feel they seal better when I do it for 30 instead of 25. Okay, so now I'm going to fill this with water to this line here. Okay, so I added it right to the line. Now I'm going to take some white vinegar. I'm just going to do a couple squirts, probably a couple tablespoons. Adding vinegar to the water helps with water sediment, so like mineral buildup on your jars after they've been processed. So it's a good idea to add a little bit to your water, but do keep in mind, over time it can help rust your rings. So keep that in mind. Okay, so now I'm just going to add the jars in so the water is warming with the jars. Helps the jars warm up with the water so that they don't break. Make sure they're spaced out. Put the lid on. And then I'm just going to wait for the rest of the process. So while the first batch is canning, I'm going to get the next batch filled, and then we'll fill them with the water right before we put them in the canner. Just so the water stays nice and hot. It's like an assembly line. You can at least fill them with the salt and the carrots, but do the water right before. So I'm going to go ahead and fill a bunch of these off camera, making sure to put the salt in first. And then I will come back and I'll let you know how many jars we managed to fill. How many jars we managed to fill and prepare to get ready to can. So I'll see you in a few minutes. So I just finished filling them, and I got 21 here plus 7 in the canner, so that's 28. Let me show you. I have them all prepared and ready for the water. Looks good. I was hoping for 30, but 28 is pretty close, so I'm pretty happy with that. So that was 5-pound bags of carrots. So 25 pounds of carrots got me 28 pint jars. So I will show you what they look like as soon as they come out of the canner. So I'll be back then. In the meantime, I'm gonna make some lunch. Okay, so they're done processing. I took the lid off and let them sit for a couple minutes. So let's take them out. You want to make sure when you take out your jars that there's no windows open or anything, otherwise it'll break your jars. And then give it a couple minutes and these will start sealing. So that's what they look like when they come out. So everybody, that was the canning process of pressure canning carrots. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And I'm happy that you guys came along with me for the ride, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.